Welcome to the Intentional Way, where literally every moment is a step towards purposeful living. I'm Bryan Hatch, here to explore the power of intention with you. Learn from our guests who embody intentionality. I'm glad you're here with me. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of The Intentional Way. I'm Bryan Hatch, your host, and I'm really excited to share someone that for me is really special. Our guest today is Dave Lee, and he's a man that if you know him and you've ran in circles with him, he is just a guy you want to spend time with. Just a small conversation with this guy and you're like, I want to know more. I want to learn more. Dave Lee is a co-founder of many software companies. I will say a couple of them that he's really performed really well in. And then he's done a lot of cool things with his family. I just admire him for a million reasons. And I know that there's no way I could actually express to him in a way that would be adequate to explain to you who he is. So welcome to the show, Dave.
Thank you. Good to be here. It's an honor.
What have I left out? What is something that people couldn't find about you on the internet that would help us understand and get to know you a little bit?
I'm just a regular guy, born in LA, raised in Northern California. My mom's an artist. My father was a stockbroker. So he was more on the finance and money side. Very smart. Both my parents are very smart, but they always instilled in us a sense of adventure. And so I grew up doing all kinds of fun things like sailing in Mexico or skiing in Zermatt, Switzerland. We would have Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners in our Suburban, in the parking lot at Sugar Bowl or Squaw Valley up in Lake Tahoe, like skiing. So we did kind of some different things and adventurous things. And that has continued on in my life. Like I love adventure. So that's probably something that most people wouldn't know about me.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't have put that together when I first met you. Not that there is a certain type of person that is really adventurous, but that's really fascinating. Yeah. Who was more adventurous of your mom or dad? It sounds like
my
dad.
Combo.
Okay.
He loved giving surprises to my mom and the family, and he loved adventure. To give you a sense of the man that he was, he took a group of youth on a bunch of girls, ages 12 to 18 on a 50-miler up in, I don't know what mountains, but it was a week-long 50-miler and was passing kidney stones at the same time. Legit.
Oh,
that's the kind of hardcore, amazing person he was. Yeah.
Did anybody know that while they were on
my mom knew that and he went anyways. Nobody else knew that. Yeah.
I've heard of people not being able to move.
Yeah.
Hiking 50 miles.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, what a cool inheritance there.
If I could just harness just a tiny bit of that energy and adventure and love of other people and all that's, yeah.
But you have, it's one of the things that
hopefully
one of the things you've talked about recently with me, and it might not be recent to you, is kite surfing. Tell me a little more about why'd you get into that? It sounds like there's some connection here.
Oh, kite surfing. Where do I start? Kite surfing is kind of like the new golf course in terms of business and connection. So I grew up windsurfing back in the 80s, and my best friend and I would ditch school to go windsurfing. We would go all the time. It was an amazing thing for us growing up in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And then my wife and I were on a trip. This was probably 2001, and in French Polynesia, and I saw this guy being dragged across the water with this huge kite. I was like, I got to do that. Never saw it again, didn't really research it, and then about 10 years later started taking lessons, and it just became part of my life. Like, it's one of those sports that has a very steep learning curve, and it becomes very addictive. Like, it's amazing. So I've been very fortunate to marry together some business aspects with adventure and investors and things, and have been to some kiting events. One in particular was in Maui with professional kiters, entrepreneurs, and investors. And at one point was hanging out on the beach talking to this guy, and later learned that he had just sold his business to, I believe it was Cisco, for like 1.2 billion.
Oh, wow.
And he's just a normal guy sitting there shooting the breeze, talking about kiting and life and everything. If anybody has any interest in kiting, let me know. I'd love to get together and go.
So
It's amazing.
how did it become almost like the golf course? I kind of feel like the golf course isn't as well played as it used to be
Yeah.
amongst entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm just out of the loop and not
Yeah.
understanding that. But
Yeah. I've met the most interesting people while kiting around the world. And I know that, especially in the Bay Area, in San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley, that has become a meeting ground. Like Chrissy Fields and some of these other kiting locations there near San Francisco. Like it is a gathering spot for entrepreneurs and investors and idea people, and things happen. Deals are made. Just like on a golf course where deals are made, that's now happening in the kite surfing world. Yeah.
that's
So
fascinating.
super fun.
Yeah. I know you didn't come here to just talk about kite surfing, although
Oh, I could.
I know you
I could talk
could.
the whole time about kiting.
The thing that you said is that it's addicting.
Yeah.
What is it about kite surfing that is so addicting? And does it lend towards those people that are, it sounds like California-esque, like surfing and doing that kind of a sport? Okay, take me. I've lived in Arizona
Mhm.
forever.
Mhm.
And so I love going to the beach, but I
Mhm.
don't have all those skill sets.
Yeah.
Tell me a little more of that.
I thought growing up windsurfing and wakeboarding and water skiing and doing these kind of water-based activities, I thought for sure this is going to be easy. It was not.
Mm.
None of those maybe they helped me, but they didn't really. So you've got me that has a lot of water-based skills and activities. And then my oldest son, I mean, it took me like 4 years of one-day lessons to actually really start to pick it up. And then I went for
Wow.
a week and did it every day for a week, which I would recommend doing from the get-go. Then you've got my oldest son, Noah, who literally within a half hour was up and going on his own. And it was so frustrating. I mean, it was one of those proud moments, but also like, how in the world is this even possible? And then I've got my now 12-year-old, he was 11 last year, my 11-year-old son who's learning and is on his own. So there's a wide range of people. You don't have to have strong forearms or upper body. I've seen 80-year-old people out there. I've seen a person that's partially blind. I've seen kids, teens. It is a sport that anybody can do, but you have to take lessons to learn the safety first, because it can be a dangerous sport as well, which is where the thrill is. But in terms of amazingness, just the flow of being pulled across the top of the water and having the control of it and being able to go almost anywhere and do anything and jump, and it's just amazing. And you're in warm water usually. You're usually in tropical places.
Okay.
I used to be like skiing, downhill skiing and backcountry skiing. Heli skiing was kind of my thing growing up. But now, if you asked me if I would rather go to backcountry skiing in Utah versus kiting in the Grenadines, I'm going Grenadines.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing more
Yeah.
about that. You can keep going as long as you want. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, my wife actually, it kind of threw her off guard because we've been married for 20 years now. 6, 7.
We're going to have
26.
to edit this. We'll have to edit this.
And she has known for all my life I have been a skier. And then about 5 years ago, I told her, like, I think my thing is kite surfing now. And it really, it surprised, she's like, wait a minute, what? You can't change your thing. You've got to stick with it. And I know you as a skier, not as a kiter. So that was a little disruptive for her. And I think there's a lesson in that. If you've got a thing and you're known for your thing, you can actually change your thing.
And did you feel the need to change your thing, or
No.
you just latched onto this?
I just latched onto it and absolutely loved it. And it's one of those things where every time you go out, you learn something new. It's a new experience. It's a new place, new conditions. And it's, in many ways, it's a lot like entrepreneurship. Like, you have to adjust all the time. And kite surfing is that.
Okay. Dave, you went down a path. I'm going to go down there with you a little
All
bit,
right.
like change. Okay. So as we talk about intention, you say if you're known for a thing, you can change your thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really quickly said and a different experience to live it. But In business, you build up a brand, you do the thing you do, people get to know you for what you do, and that's how you can at least perpetuate something for a long time. So tell me about like specifically the topic of change and how does that relate to intentionality in your mind?
Yeah, I think latching on to this example of changing my primary activity that I loved and was passionate about, like skiing was my passion. I was the kid who, the night before my family went skiing, I would lay out all my gear on the floor. Like literally my sock, I would make a guy on the floor, pants, turtleneck, sweater, jacket, gloves where they're supposed to be, boots and socks where they're supposed to be, so that when I woke up, I knew I had all my pieces and parts and I was ready to go. I was extremely passionate about it and just love skiing. And I still do.
Mhm.
It's just harder on my knees. But I think we start to define ourselves sometimes as the things that we do or the things that we're known for. And the thing starts to take control instead of us controlling the thing and what we really want to do. And that happens in life. Anybody that's listening, all five of you, think about what you're doing right now in life, the job that you have if you're employed. Are you there because of expectations, or it's kind of what you're known for, or have been passionate about in the past, but secretly in the bottom of your heart somewhere or in the back of your mind, you know that there's something else potentially calling to you? And just experiment a little bit and find out if there is something out there. I wasn't intentionally looking for a change, but I tried something new and hated it at first. It was hard. It was brutal. And I've written a little kind of piece on it to compare entrepreneurship and kite surfing. People can download that. I'll give you
Okay,
the link or
cool.
whatever.
Yeah, we'll put it in the notes.
But it as I experimented more and more with it, there was something there, and it then grew to become this thing that was more interesting, more challenging, more exciting, fit my desires, change desires. I wanted to be in warmer tropical places, not in freezing cold, tough visibility places, steep places. Although I still love steep skiing, it just changed and my passion shifted. I still love skiing.
Yeah.
But I love kiting even more.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we don't give ourselves the right to change what we want.
And that's coming back to that notion that you said of the thing becomes you,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to you being the driver of the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How else have you experienced that? That topic sounds very just interesting to hear in and of itself.
I think there have been times in my life where the title that you have, whether it's a professional title, a role, a responsibility, where you live, like, yeah, I'm from California. For a lot of people, that's a big deal. That's a title that they carry, and it's an expectation they have of themselves, or a position. Could be a CEO, or I'm an executive. And I've definitely had times in my life where I've thought, oh, I'm of a certain status because I'm the vice president of sales and marketing at this software company. And the moment you get fired, no longer matters. And if you let that define who you are and you get fired, like what has happened to me a number of times, you're left wondering for a time, who am I? What's going on here? Am I now lost because I no longer have this title, this thing that I thought I was? When you let the thing become who you are.
Yeah. So, Dave, I don't want to harp too hard on this, but where you said multiple times, where have you been let go? Because so for anybody listening,
Mm-hmm.
like I know Dave Lee in my opinion, like top of the line. Like that's who Dave Lee is. And it doesn't matter if you lose a job or not, that you still can hold that status. I'm not equating those two,
Mm-hmm.
but every experience I've had of you is Dave Lee is a guy that I would love to spend more time with at minimum, right? And there's so many more levels to that. So if you don't mind sharing, where's that title been ripped from you and you had to renegotiate?
Yeah, I've been fired 5 different times from
Really?
different companies. Yeah. Yeah. And being in tech has been difficult. Like everybody, there's this, thing about, oh, tech is amazing.
Yeah.
And
It feels like tech creates the most billionaires, millionaires, like
yeah,
overnight, quote. It's not that way, but that's what it
it's
seems
not,
like.
but I mean, there are a lot of great things about tech and software and R&D and all that, but there's also a lot of risk. I've also been with companies that have been early stage, not startups, but early stage, where things can go south very quickly.
Hmm.
Back in 2001, I believe it was, with a company that did free web hosting called Free Servers. They were acquired by a company called About.com. And this was during the internet bubble of the early 2000s. And our revenue model was ad based. And as soon as that bubble popped, ad revenue went from, we were probably doing 300 grand a month
Wow.
in revenue, recurring revenue from ads, maybe more. And that dropped by like 80% overnight.
Wow.
And so there were layoffs, and during that time it was brutal. And then 9/11 happened. So not only is tech, the internet bubble bursting and tech falling, and anything marketing ad based falling, now you've got 9/11, where in the tech industry, when 9/11 happened, there was a lot of uncertainty around the world and in the US and in the economy. And so all jobs that were posted disappeared. Like all those job positions on Dice or Monster or whatever at the time, those disappeared. So it was a tough time. Went with another early stage company. That thing folded. Had to negotiate a license agreement so I could continue servicing some of their clients. That was brutal. Then went with a startup in San Diego. Moved my family out there on our dime. And within a year, they're like, yeah, this isn't working out. Like, it's been not easy.
Yeah. Well, so why is it that it seems like through the fire of affliction that people like you are created? Because and I don't want to get off the topic so far of the fact that the holding a title and how that became you, but I'm interested to know, like, why is the fire of affliction so necessary?
Because it's hard for us to be humble. We are not humble by nature. And so when these things happen, they humble us, and we're able to see things in a different light. And I've had that happen numerous times, not just professionally. It helps us grow. I think that's the purpose of these events that happen, not fun events in our lives. NFEs, not fun events.
Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this episode, please subscribe, follow, and download our episode. Your support allows us to bring more intentional guests just like this, and it means the world to us. Now, let's get back to the episode. Is that what you call them?
That's what I'm calling them now.
And not NFTs, NFEs. Okay. So then I want to summarize a little bit of what I've heard in the fact that maybe I'm going to extrapolate a little bit.
Go for it.
In the fact that in these different roles, you were, I don't get the feeling that you were like just a run-of-the-mill kind of a guy in any one of these companies, that you had some kind of a responsibility that mattered, that was larger in nature. And so in these few instances you discussed, you held a title. The thing you were doing became a part of what you were. And some of it sounded like it was shorter lived because of economy and situations and startups. But you tied yourself to like that, like this thing over here that I'm doing is me.
Yeah.
And so when that's ripped away, you have to renegotiate a little bit.
Yeah. You're left wondering. You question yourself. You question your abilities, your capabilities.
So Dave, the way I know you is you're kind, easy to talk with. I wouldn't say this by anything but an honorable title, but like calculating, you're like looking at things and figuring things out in a positive way, the way I see it. So if that's the way you were feeling in those earlier years when things were up and down for you, like how did you be you? Because I think of you as an intentional guy. So how did you stay intentional when those titles and those things were changing from you? How did you harbor that?
Yeah. Well, I certainly wouldn't want to misrepresent myself or what actually happened during those various events when bad things happen. And those professionally, it was never for cause. I never did anything.
Yeah.
So, which makes it even worse, right? When you're a good person or a good employee or a good whatever, and you're doing it all right, and you're hitting numbers or you're pleasing people, you're serving, you're doing it all that. And then something hits you in the face and it's like, why did this happen? And there's no answer.
Mm.
It can drive you crazy. I think when those things have happened, yeah, there's probably a few days or a week where it's like, what? Why is this happening? All the questions and doubts and everything. But then I'm really quick, for whatever reason, I'm really quick to recenter and be like, yeah, it is what it is. Like I could spend the next 5 years recounting why this possibly could have happened, but it doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve anybody. You just have to like accept it and move on. And I think I've become really good at that, just accepting what is and moving on from that.
Did you gain that? Okay, so here's a deeper question around it. Is that how you've always been, or that's what you've learned amidst those specific challenges that you mentioned? Were you someone that prior to these things, when something went wrong on a smaller scale, when we were younger, when things were littler, all the calculations were smaller, were you always like that, or was that like?
I think so. I think it's been part of me ever since a kid. Like when bad things would happen, it's like, okay, it is what it is. Keep going. We waste a lot of energy trying to figure things out, figure out why people did certain things to other people or to us. And it's just wasted energy. Like I remember in high school, somebody lit my locker on fire.
Wow.
Why? I don't know. Retaliation for something that I did on accident. I insulted them in some way. I have no idea. I could spend a lifetime trying to figure that out. And if that's on them, and maybe it was totally random. Who knows? It is what it is. Move on.
Yeah.
Forgive and forget.
So it sounds like that's been a part of your nature a little bit of.
I think so. And I think it drives my wife crazy sometimes. She's a Jersey girl and she is very street smart and very quick. And I love her to death. And she's vocal with her family. And I'm just way more chill. Like, let me just take it all in and process it, and then I'll make a decision. Yeah, I think it's just kind of my style.
Yeah. So in these instances, whether locker or business or situations you discussed, you've been able to, maybe you were down for a day. This is what you said. You said a day or a week or so, and then move on. So then in an intentional way, what did you do to move on?
For me, it's deciding and just getting to work, getting into action. And like when you get let go or something bad happens to you, something difficult, a challenge, or somebody fails you, sometimes you need to give yourself time to be upset about it and process it a little bit. But beyond that, it's like, no, just decide what you want and then go start getting in action, go do things. And it might take a while. Like finding new jobs, new opportunities sometimes took a lot of time and a while.
What was a while for you? A lot of time.
Months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you've landed on your feet. So whatever you did to go get an action has proved out, from my third party perspective looking in, seems like it's served its purpose.
For some magical reason, it always works out. And I think that's true for probably everybody, is things work out. It just takes a little time, but effort solves everything.
So maybe I'll speak to those listeners. If you're in a depressive or stressful state or something that's gone wrong, that whether you controlled it, whether you were the one that made the actions happen and now you're paying for it, or you don't know why, in your case, then being in action, like going and doing something, even if you can't fix what was, but just go move forward is the critical key to that, as opposed to sitting in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And stewing in it and reliving it over and over in our heads. Like we're really good at that.
I know all too well. I think Is that not part of just being an entrepreneur at some level, whether it was a big knockdown, drag out thing that you had to go through or something that was just painful enough that you stopped? I feel like if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner at some level, you have to go through that in order to persist.
You do. I mean, so one of the businesses that I co-founded is called Six Division. It's a consulting and coaching business around marketing and sales automation for small businesses. And we launched the business at a big conference. We piggybacked on another company, a software provider, and did a night session, launched the thing. And my co-founder and I, we were all proud and happy, and it was amazing. And this is going to be great. And then like a week later, American Express, we ran all of our orders through a merchant account, which means we processed all these credit card orders. And overnight, it was like, I can't remember how much money it was, but I know how much it was from American Express because they saw it as potential fraud. And because we went from earning nothing as a business to processing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they locked up I think it was $186,000 and held it for about a year. And so that was one of those times where it was like, we fought every day for that money because it was ours.
Yeah.
And they just held on to it in reserve. And we could have just gotten really frustrated about that and have that impact our business in a very negative way. But instead we decided, hey, this is how it is. It's horrible. It sucks, but we have to deal with it. So we're just going to have to operate without that almost 200 grand, which was a big deal for us back then because we had expenses that we needed to cover and clients coming out and things that we had to do and people we had to pay, ourselves included. But it also taught us to be very frugal and smart with our money and very nimble. In all the bad stuff, there's something to be learned. So when those titles and things get stripped away, one of the first knee-jerk reactions, besides being mad, once that's passed, okay, what's the lesson here? What can I learn from this? What's my new thing going to be? What can I go create? And then get in action. Like we got in action super fast. I called Amex every single day for almost a year until they released it.
How much of you calling do you think changed when they released it?
I have no idea, but it made me feel better.
Yeah. It was effort. It was the effort.
It was effort. I was actually doing something about it.
Wasn't sitting back waiting for something else to happen. You said, this is what I can control.
Yeah. I mean, it's in this bureaucratic machine. And can you just press the button to release this? I know that's all it is, but it has to go through different levels of approval. And it was a cluster. It was so bad. And we were in a brand new office space. So they looked up our address to see if we were legit. And there's no address on file in their system. So it was like, can we FaceTime right now? I'll show you the office. It's right here. I'm in it. Yeah.
They thought you were a shell company.
Yeah.
Just money laundering.
Yeah.
Do you take American Express today?
I love using American Express as a consumer, as a business owner. I do not love American Express.
We don't want to stay on that too long, but that's interesting. Well, Dave, I think it pertains to change. If we become the thing, and that's why we're doing things. You mentioned really early on, and we can go down this path, or if there's something else on your mind, you have to be in control of what that is. So I think we've talked quite a bit about the process and the fire and how to change when something's kind of taken from you and you've got to go get an effort. And maybe we could speak more into that, but what about being in control? How are you doing that?
Yeah, I think, let me summarize what I think you're saying. We've been talking about reactive change. Things happen to us and how do we react? Let's move into a conversation around how do you actually proactively change? I can do that, I think.
Wherever you want to go, man. I'm just asking questions from what you're saying.
No, that's good. I think it's going to sound very obvious, but it all starts out with what you want. And if we're not careful and we're not intentional about what we want, we'll end up with something. And that something probably will not be what we actually want. So it's really important to be on the forefront of creating whatever it is in our lives that we want, professionally, relationships, wealth, whatever. I know a lot of people that professionally do what they do and they don't like it. And these are very successful people.
How do they get to that point?
They either thought they wanted something or they trained and became an expert in what they did. And then it's bringing in money and it's stability. And now I've got responsibilities and family and different things going on, and people are counting on me. And now I'm locked in. I think that happens a lot.
I totally do agree.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. So I think just when, especially in your early years throughout life, is just really figuring out what you want. What do you want? Like, another example is my business partner and I know we're trying to flip the conversation to proactive.
We're not trying to do anything.
Yeah. But we thought we wanted a business that produced millions in revenue and was a bigger thing, had a bigger footprint, would influence more businesses and people. And that was our intention. And we went and spent years building that. And we ended up with a mess in terms of the time and energy and life that was sucking us dry. And again, back to intentionally changing, we're like, this isn't working for us anymore. And spent the next year dismantling things and cut everything in half. And now we're like way happier. So I think my advice would be, we are where we are because we let it happen.
And so many of us look at our circumstances and blame them or blame something else.
We are experts at blaming everything around us and the circumstances. And so that fired me or hired me or did this or that. We are experts at blaming everybody else.
And I know you're not saying that other people don't impact us. For sure. If someone lets you go from a job, like that impacted you. Yeah. Yes. It wasn't because you're a horrible person given certain circumstances, but we are where we are because we let it be that way.
Yeah. We are exactly where we are because we have let it happen.
So how have you figured out what you want?
Soul searching.
Like, are our listeners going to go start monk living, go into the Alps? And
some may.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm all right with that.
Some may. I think in relationships, like there are probably people listening that are having struggles with marriage or a girlfriend or boyfriend or a life partner or a child, one of their kids or a parent or a friend. And like, I hear a lot of people complaining about these relationships, and it's, what are you going to do? What's your intention? What do you want? So I think it starts with really uncovering what you want in each relationship, if it matters to you. If it doesn't matter to you, then okay, fine. With my wife, our intention is to build and maintain a strong family. And she has struggled for years to come up with not what her role is, but what her title is.
Okay.
Because these stay-at-home moms are just insanely amazing. And they should have any title that they want. And they do. I was just connecting with a friend and asked him what he's up to. He's like, I'm a stay-at-home dad now. And I'm like, oh, wow. He's like, yeah, I'd rather go work any day. I will go do anything else. Anything else is easier than being a stay-at-home parent. And he's right. So my wife recently uncovered that she is now the co-founder of the Lee family. That is her title. And I love it because it encapsulates all the stuff that goes into parenthood and being in a relationship, like a really committed relationship as husband and wife and family or whatever it is you're in. And she's a co-founder, and she's in the finances and operations and the marketing of it and the follow-up and all the stuff. So I love that for her, that she uncovered that for herself. But we're very intentional about what we want, and we plan accordingly. We do an annual offsite. And I learned that from business. And probably 15 years ago, we were doing these business offsites, annual and quarterly. And I thought, why don't I do this for my family, at least with my wife? And so we've done that. And we at least do an annual offsite where we intentionally review the prior year. Okay, what were the big wins? What were the lessons learned? What were the things that we want to change? What are the big things that we want to do? The big moves we want to make? What trips do we want to go on and why? And really take a couple days and just go through all of that. And where am I falling short? And just having time to talk about it and plan. Because if we don't do that, then life just happens.
Do you, so you said these are a couple days, you go
out of town.
Okay. So out of town, a couple days,
or a staycate, like we'll go to Scottsdale or down to Tucson.
Away from the rest of the family,
away from
the
normal,
kids.
Your normal place or situation.
Yeah. So it's away from home base. A couple days. You've mentioned some of the agenda items.
Yep.
And how well are you able to separate getting back to what you said at the beginning, I am this thing. How willing and able are you and your wife to separate? Okay, we're going to have a discussion about who I am in this, but I'm over here talking about it, as opposed to I am that person. So whenever you say something to me, I'm offended because that's who I am.
Yeah. It is a time where we get away from our normal environment, because that's where we hold all of our titles and these descriptions of who we think we are or other people think we are, and get out of that environment so that we can have these open conversations. Hey, what's going on with family and with us, and what we're trying to do, and what didn't go well and why, and have that openness where the intention is to have a better year, and every year have a better and better year, and have a stronger and stronger relationship and family.
That's cool. And if you give me the rigmarole, is this, you're waking up and we're in this, working on these things, or is it a little more vacation? I just think of, if I'm at an offsite business thing, there's go time and then there's play time. And that's fine. But tell us a little about how that looks, because I'm imagining people listening, including myself, are going to want to replicate what you're creating here.
Yeah, I've got an outline that I could share. You could put it in the show notes.
Yeah, please do.
I'll have to sterilize it a little bit because there's some very personal things in there.
Yeah, please also do that.
I'll just do an outline.
That'd be great.
But yeah, we mix some fun in. Like we'll leave usually late morning on let's just call it a Friday, and drive to the location. As we're driving, we're starting like, okay, it's go time. And we're talking about, okay, let's review everything that happened this past year, good and bad. And we're taking notes. Like somebody is the note taker. So this is official.
Yeah, good.
And we're talking about that. We're documenting it. And so we'll continue that once we check into the hotel. We'll continue that for a while. Then we'll go to dinner, and we're usually talking over dinner. We might then go get massages or something at the spa, or go on a hike or something.
And during the massages, you're having conversations.
No,
I'm kidding.
Yeah. So
that's the
playtime, downtime. Yeah. So we'll incorporate fun stuff like shopping or a movie or spa or dinner, meals. And some of the times we will be talking about the agenda or what we're trying to get through. Other times, no, we just need a break. We just need playtime. Like stop. Let's just have fun. So it's a mix of the two.
That's cool. And so as you come home from these things, thinking about the intentionality, there's got to be some resolution. Like I'm maybe jumping ahead here, but are there like action items? I'm thinking of a lot of business meetings.
Yes,
Dave, these are the things you're doing, and this is what
we usually. So it's pretty amazing what happens. From one of these, we decided to move to Hawaii for half of the year because we wanted a big change to our family's environment. We wanted to get away from like all the stuff that we do and that we think we need to do, and people are, at least we think they're counting on us to do all these expectations. We wanted to remove ourselves totally and just have a different environment, different experience. And we weren't sure how it was all going to work out, schooling, all that stuff, but we did it anyways. We figured it out. Like, go figure. We've had family trips planned. We've had conversations around how to handle certain situations with children, what we want for them, decisions around sports and activities, things that we're committing to as husband and wife. Like that thing spawns incredible things for the entire year. And then we'll revisit during the year, like, how are we doing? Any changes we need to go make, things like that.
Yeah, like I imagine some of the, I have this notion of the event life.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have been at many events.
Mm-hmm.
You go, you get excited, and things change for a few weeks, and then they die off. Have you seen that happen? It sounds like what I'm hearing you say is that's not the case, that it makes huge differences for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe what's the secret to that? Because I could see having a weekend with my wife, we go through more or less your schedule,
Mm-hmm.
work on these things, and then we come out of that. And I could see you return to your old environment. That's one of the things that happens with intention is you come back into your old environment, and now all the things that weren't there when you were planning are actually there. And I get that sound planning if you actually plan for this is how life is. But
yeah, if you do something like this, you'll have a checklist. I have no doubt that you'll have a checklist coming out of that, and you'll review that. Okay, these are the 16 things that we decided we need to do, like, in the immediate future, whether that's in the next week or the next few months. And so I'm going back to that document from our offsite to see, okay, what else needs to be done? And it could be anything from estate planning to finances to, I really want to sell this car or get this new car, or we need to make some changes to our home, or I need to spend more time with our youngest child, or just anything. We need to book the flights for this trip that we want to create. So you'll have a checklist.
yeah.
No doubt.
And so then now we're back in real life with that checklist in hand that guides your decisions of spare time.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's these things you got to run here. You got to pick up the kids, or you got older kids, but you got to do the things that you got to do.
Yeah.
But now there's an extra hour here or there. The checklist is available. Not that you'll always go to it, but potentially, but it's something to work.
Yep.
That's cool.
And really, it's not meant for the day-to-day stuff that you do. What are some things that are going to really drive us forward or have a significant impact on our family or lives? But they can also be very tactical, like little things too.
I'm interested to know those bigger things. What if you could summarize a few bullet points from, like, what those things are in your life? What, maybe you've already said them, but I'm interested.
Starting new companies.
Okay.
Moving to Hawaii. Selling a home. Estate planning. Who's going to take care of our kids if we get hit by a bus? Big financial moves. Risky moves. Things we want to try. New hobbies that we want to try. Like stuff like that.
Yeah. It sounds like more aspirational, dream-like. Not that every one of them has to be that way, but something like that is truly exciting for you to go accomplish, as opposed to it being like, well, next week, make sure that we get to this school activity and that thing. Right. That's the tactical, right?
Yep.
That's cool. Sounds very intentional, Dave.
We try to be. And we're not perfect. We used to do an annual and then follow up with quarterly offsites together. And over the years, it's like, there's just too much going on.
It's hard to do the quarterly.
We'll just do check-ins and still track with the annual planning and what we set up and make adjustments. But I used to have way more energy.
That's okay. That's all right. I think as things progress, we learn, right? Yeah. Well, Dave, I am fascinated with what you've shared. I think that there, from many different facets, everybody that's listening will be able to glean something. Is there anything as we close down our conversation here, to you seems like really important that if we didn't share today would be an error on our part?
Nothing crazy comes to mind other than just the concept of deciding and then planning. Like, you have to spend some time thinking about it and planning it. And for my wife and I, it's this annual offsite, or we'll go on a walk together because we need to plan something. I think we just expect things to happen sometimes, or things just happen.
Well, I think that things do just happen.
Oh, yeah.
And it's typically the things that aren't those aspirational, I want to accomplish these things. They're more of like the things that have to get done.
Yeah. And many are good things. Like when we lived in Oahu for 6 months, we weren't like escaping bad things. Like soccer for kids is amazing, and volunteer stuff, church stuff, education, work, all these things are all good things. We just wanted something different for a time, and it had a massive impact on our family. Like ground shaking, massive.
Are you able to share one or two of those things that if you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I think one of my sons was able to turn his life around because of it. Like in an amazing way.
That's awesome.
And we didn't plan it. It wasn't like, let's go live in Hawaii so that he can turn his life around. No, it was, let's go get away from all of this and go put ourselves in a different situation and have fun and meet new people and find ways we can serve people there and experience new things. And I think from that, having some space allowed him to process and think in a different way and make some significant decisions for his life that changed it forever.
What I love about what I've heard you say is that it's a unique situation. I don't know of many people that pick up and leave and go to a different state or Hawaii for that nature for 6 months and come back. There's plenty of families that move somewhere and that's their new location, but to go for a short period of time, that seems unique. And it sounds like a testament to the planning and the work and what you wanted to have happen, making the time and energy to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing what's actually possible if you want it.
But Dave, I got so many other things I got to work on right now.
I know, but what do you really want to work on?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then get to work.
Yeah.
Don't let just things happen to you. I mean, they will, but
don't let those things that are going to happen to you anyways be the excuse for you not going and getting what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great way to summarize the conversation, I think, or at least put a period at the end of it. That's awesome. Dave, thank you so much for being here and taking time away from those things that matter to you to come and share and be a part of this.
Thank you. Appreciate
and for all the people listening, go look up Dave. Where can they find you? What we're going to be putting some of your stuff in the notes, your outlines and a couple of things here, but what other things should they go see you for if they want to check into you?
Oh, wow. We could probably just put our links to, I'm an old guy, so I'm on Facebook or LinkedIn. Those are probably two places to find me and connect with me if people want to. But my primary business is sixdivision.com and then run some different software businesses.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dave, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on The Intentional Way. I'm Bryan Hatch, and it's been a true privilege to share this time with you. If today's episode has inspired you in any way, shape, or form, please subscribe, follow, and download our episodes. Your support not only helps us grow, it also enables us to bring more insightful conversations and exceptional guests right to you. Living intentionally begins with a single step, yours. So let's make the most of it. Until next time, seek intention by being completely present.